Welcome to the new book releases of April the 8th. We have an interesting mix today. I'm Morgan. If this is your first time on the channel, we're going to have timestamps per genre that we talk about, and I'm excited to go ahead and tell you about these books. Disclaimer here for anyone who's new, and I haven't said it in a few videos, I'm going to mispronounce people's names, characters, authors, places, even words that are technically English. I'll probably mispronounce them. Let's go ahead though and start with Romantasy, with one that I am highly anticipating, though I have no idea when I can read it, of course. That's The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Whitten. Now, in our first book, The Foxglove King, we are following Lore, who was actually part of a cult, and she escaped from them when she was 13, so really it was her mother was part of a cult. And Lore has the ability to use mortem, or death magic. Because of this, though, she can't actually escape from the city of Del Air where she lives. The king finds out that she can use it, and instead of just killing her, he makes her a proposition to spy on his son because he believes he's a traitor. And so in the process of doing this, she also has to have a warrior monk guard to watch over her and make sure she's not doing anything nefarious. And the things they uncover. In romance, we are starting the next generation in a beloved series. I think it's beloved. I've heard a lot about it. Been told to start it. Have not started it. That's going to be The Beloved. This is book 22 in the Black Dagger Brotherhood. In this one, we are following Nala and Nate. I am not even entirely certain what the Black Dagger Brotherhood is. It's just that I've heard a lot about it. I've been told I should read it. I think there's vampires and maybe assassins. Before we move on, a quick Google search, show me I was right. It's about a vampire warrior race who is defending their kind from the de-souled humans. So not necessarily the human race, but parts of the human race that are soulless. Which makes sense. That sounds like most horror movie types of things. When souls get sucked out, you generally become a bad thing in the movie. Moving on, though, to some sci-fis. Another one that I was very excited about is Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. This one is following psychologist Dr. Ophelia Bray as she's decided to dedicate her life to the study and prevention of ERS, the most famous case of which resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. It's personal to her, and when she's assigned to a small exploration crew who recently suffered the tragic death of a colleague, she wants to help. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. It was missing the word "the," that's why I stumbled. And Ophelia's crewmates are far more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her. So, okay, it's a sci-fi, and maybe it's got twinges of horror, and I have no idea why, but I've been really wanting to read something like that, knowing that I cannot do horror very well. I can do horror light, though. I found that out last year. If you were new to the channel, I found that out last year. I can do horror light. So I really want to pick up one of these. The next one up on the list is one that I've seen a few people mention that they're excited about. This is Mal Goes to War by Edward Ashton. As a free AI, Mal finds the war between the modded and augmented Federals and the puritanical humanists about as interesting as a battle between rival anthills. He's not above scouting the battlefield for salvage, though, and when the humanists abruptly cut off all access to the info space, he finds himself trapped in the body of a cyborg mercenary and responsible for the safety of the modded girl she died protecting. It's supposed to be a dark comedy wrapped in a techno thriller. Fantasy brings us more anticipated releases, the first up being The Familiar by Lee Bardugo. In a shabby house on a shabby street in the new capital of Madrid, Luisa Catado uses scraps of magic to get through her days of endless toil as a scullion. But when her scheming mistress discovers the lump of a servant cowering in the kitchen is actually hiding a talent for little miracles, she demands Luisa use her gifts to improve the family's social position. What begins as a simple amusement for the nobility takes a perilous turn when Luisa garners the notice of Antonio Perez, the disgraced secretary to Spain's king. Still reeling from the defeat of his armada, the king is desperate for any advantage in the war against England's heretic queen, and Perez will stop at nothing to regain the king's favor. I really want to see how that's going to play out because it has a lot of aspects of interesting bits there. We don't know what kind of magic it is that she's actually using. Then we have the second in the Library trilogy, The Book That Broke the World by Mark Lawrence. The first one being The Book That Wouldn't Burn follows a boy who has lived his whole life trapped in a within a book-choked chamber older than empires and larger than cities, and a girl who's been plucked from the outskirts of civilization to be trained as a librarian, studying the mysteries of the great library at the heart of her kingdom. They were never supposed to meet, but in the library, they did. And I've heard pretty good things about this one. Then there's the second one in the Epidmari saga, Wings of Midnight Storm by P.N. Vang. The first book was The Flight of 1,000 Embers, and they both have new covers. And I don't like the new covers as much. The first book's cover was really cool, and now the one that they have matching the second cover is really bland. The first book says, a war to erupt, a kingdom to bleed, a curse to consume. Iskara has been divided since the banishment of magic in the kingdoms. Exile or death is the only option for those discovered. Now, terror spreads as the emperor declares war upon the kings. For Narwin Melancy of Argtura, her power to command the storm has forced her into a life of secrecy. Her dream of becoming a warrior has crumbled. As she navigates her new path, she finds it tainted with shadows, deception, and death. Splendor Bartizan serves as a city guard, but wields fire in his flesh. Amid investigations, Guy Renzel's rash and impulsive methods cause a rift among his peers. And meanwhile, Princess Rayla of the Zide Empire challenges her father's war with the West. The dagger at his side is driving him deeper into madness, with whispers consuming his mind. We will be following all 4 of these characters. Our 1 YA this week is Dragonfruit by Mika Lucier. In the old tales, it is written that the egg of a sea dragon, Dragonfruit, holds within it the power to undo a person's greatest sorrow. But as with all things that offer hope, when hope had gone, the tale came with a warning. Every wish demands a price. Hanali of Tamarind is the cherished daughter of an old island family, but when her father steals a sea dragon egg meant for an ailing princess, she is forced into a life of exile. In the years that follow, Hanali finds solace in studying the majestic sea dragons that roam the Nanami Sea, until one day an encounter with a female dragon offers her what she desires most, a chance to return home and to right a terrible wrong. Sam is the last remaining prince of Tamarind, but he can never inherit the throne, for Tamarind is a matriarchal society. With his mother ill and his grandmother nearing the end of her reign, Sam is left with no choice to marry or to find a cure for the sickness that has plagued his mother for 10 long years. When a childhood companion returns from exile, she brings with her something he has not felt in a very long time: hope. But Hanali and Sam are not the only ones searching for the dragon fruit, and as they battle enemies both near and far, there is another danger they cannot escape, that of the dragon fruit itself. And our fiction this week is The Twilight Garden by Sarah Nishara Adams. In a small pocket of London between the houses of number 77 and number 79 Eastbourne Road lies a neglected community garden. It was a beautiful thing once, a little oasis in a bustling city for neighbors by day and local foxes at twilight. Now it's overgrown and neglected, an empty patch of greenery lost to time. After a mysterious parcel is dropped at number 79, the seed of an idea is planted. Somewhere out there, a secret gardener made a decades-old promise to keep the community spirit alive. Now it's time for the Twilight Garden to come out of hibernation. We'll end the week with a thriller, The Hungry Dark by Jen Williams. As a child, Ashley Whitelam could often see odd things nobody else could. Quiet, watchful figures she called the heedful ones kept a strange vigil wherever she went. As an adult, she keeps these visions to herself, but she's turned her taste for the beyond into a career as a psychic, parting people from their money with a combination of psychology and internet research. When the Lake District is gripped by a series of grisly child murders, Ashley offers her services to the police for the free publicity. But as Ashley leads the police on a fruitless search around the small town of Greenbeck, she catches glimpses of those old ghosts of her childhood, and following them into the woods, she finds something she never expected: the corpse of the last missing child. That's all for this week's list. If there was one that I didn't mention that you know is coming out and you want other people to know about, you can drop it in the comments down below. If this was your first time here and you liked it, please feel free to check out some of my other videos and subscribe if you're liking my style. I hope you're having an awesome day and finding something great to read.